Rainy day racing B grade event for the Waratahs WMZ Swifters. We're about 2/3 through the B grade race and following the lead pack, of which there is still some 30 to 40 riders out of about 80 odd that had signed on, and 75 that started the race. There's been plenty of action so far. The lead-in saw probably a dozen, maybe more, 15 riders drop off before the race, or the laps of the race had even started. And it's been a race of attrition. There have been plenty of riders drift off the back in the first 4 or 5 laps. We're following one of the gun riders at the moment, Andy O'Reilly. He's got to be up there. We've just seen a message that there's still 37 in the main bunch, this lead group, who have lapped some of the riders that have been dropped. There are plenty of riders in here with the latest and greatest equipment. We can see a number of solid disc wheels, aero suits, and the Tron bike. See, Andy O'Reilly's come to the front, but he probably won't stay there very long. The bunch is flowing quite readily, so that those riders that get to the front don't stay there very long. They tend to then drift back. We'll try and have a look at some of the other riders. Eddie Younger, probably one of the eldest statesman riders in the B grade bunch that we're looking at now. He's managed to stay with the lead bunch. He's a lightweight and has got the advantage on the hills, but also he can generate a fairly high watts per kilo on the flat. And just next to him I've noticed Jason Green, who's just moved up to B grade only recently, only within the last couple of weeks. So this is one of his first races with WMZ as a B grader. He looks pretty comfortable on this flattish course, after the lead-in main climb. He's wearing his bikes and beer jersey that he wears with his 6:15 group in the team time trials on Thursday nights. Another one who's looking good for a result today is Jeff Morton. We're following him now in his Bumblebee outfit. He's been doing very well in the WTRL race series recently. He certainly has got it when it comes to the sharp end of the race. Fairly good sprint, and he can certainly stay with the strongmen throughout the race. He'll definitely be fancying himself for a sprint. I had noticed there was Rob Hacker in there. Rob is always keen and at the front of these races. He's certainly got what it takes when it comes to the fast end of the race as well. And some of these riders are probably on the cusp of moving up to A grade. I know that some of them sort of calculate their efforts such that they don't exceed the intensity range of each of the grade or the B grade races. Then there's the likes of Steve Mulligan from the WMZ, a Parramatta rider. And there's a few in there from some of the other clubs. We can see the Southern Cross Cycling Club abbreviation. Jason Tran from the Waratahs. So the race is only 37 kilometres. This will be the last lap that the riders will do. They're probably not far from the finish now, but they've got this last little incline. This is probably the last opportunity for some of the riders to attack and try and get into a break or form a breakaway. And we might see a little bit of action on this last climb as they turn the left hand corner and just head up a short hill back up to the flat of the start finish straight and the turnaround. Probably only 2 or 3 kilometres to go, probably less, probably only 1.5 kilometres to go. So let's see if there is any action on this short climb. There's one rider who's drifted off the back already, so the pace is definitely sort of lifting. But there doesn't appear to be any surge in the bunch. Although there are some red numbers occurring now. Tom Clayton's up around 8 or 9 watts a kilo. And there were a few others there who'd put in a bit of a dig. They're still pumping out the sort of 6 to 7 watts a kilo. And there's a few of the power-ups being deployed. So that was definitely a key part of the race. But it appears that the bunch is all pretty much still together. And there's 1 or 2 riders, or 3 riders that have drifted off the back there that they might make their way back on now on the flat. And it'll likely come down to a bunch sprint on the finish line. So they're coming up around to the turnaround point, and there probably is still over 30 riders in this lead group, so it's going to be a fairly hectic bunch sprint. It'll be anyone's guess who gets over the line. There's several riders that are not part of the WMZ group that are also in here, and they could be driving the pace. And there'd even be riders here who aren't registered on Zwift Power that might well be of an ability well in excess of the B grade standard. So they could be driving the pace. But it's the WMZ riders that are registered on Zwift Power that'll be competing for the second place today for the chance to win the Bike Bug voucher. There is plenty of action now as they turn, and they've gone under the 1 kilometre to go banner, and they're within about 700 metres of the finishing line. And already we're seeing the sort of 5 and 6 watts a kilo intensity as they jostle for the finishing sprint. Some of them are already out of the saddle and already up around the 10 to 12 watts a kilo. They are really turning it out now. And they've just started the sprint segment. It looks like Jeff Morton is one of the first over the line. So we'll have to go to Zwift Power for the results. But that was a fairly hectic finish. And they're all strung out. Look like they're all coasting. So I'd say they're all fairly exhausted after that effort.